Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of Heart to Heart with Abagaba. I'm your host, Dominguez, and today I'm taking the guest seat. Last month, I had the wonderful opportunity to interview author and attorney Stephen Eichenblatt, whose courage to speak his truth reminded us that even pain can lead to purpose. During the interview, he awarded me the same opportunity to share my story. Take a brief listen.
And people make big mistakes, especially when you're young. And I would love to hear how you reconnected with your mom.
In case you missed the full episode, I would encourage you to listen to episode 108, titled Facing the Past with Courage. And I will also link it in the show notes. Today, Stephen Eichenblatt takes the host chair and interviews me, and we are diving into the heart of my mom's incredible voice. I am sharing one of the most personal and powerful chapters of my life, the story of reuniting with my mother after 33 years apart. It's a journey of faith, forgiveness, and the kind of love that never fades with time or distance. From discovering my own birthday as a child to hearing my mother's voice for the very first time as an adult. The story reminds us that healing is possible and love can always find its way home. This conversation is a celebration of grace, family, and second chances. I hope it speaks to your heart as much as it shaped mine. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Abby Dominguez. This is Heart to Heart with Abba Gaba podcast, and I'm so glad you're here. I spent over a decade as a nanny and teacher, learning from children and families around the world. Now I bring those lessons to you, heart to heart conversations with people from all walks of life, sharing stories of love, laughter, and resilience that remind us of the power of connection and community. Subscribe today and join our village of heart to heart listeners.
Today's guest is someone whose story reminds us of the power of faith, forgiveness, and family. Abby Dominguez is an author, educator, and host of the podcast Heart to Heart with Abagaba. Her work celebrates children, families, and the everyday moments that connect us. In this episode, Abby shares a deeply personal story, the journey of reuniting with her mother after 33 years apart. It's a story of hope, healing, and the incredible ways love can find its way home, even after decades of distance. Abby, welcome. It's such a privilege to have you here. And before you say anything, I want you, as you talk, tell us what the title of your podcast means. I was wondering about that.
Oh, thank you so much for asking that. So my podcast, Heart to Heart with Abagaba. I was the nanny and a 2-year-old child tried to say the name Abigail and she said Abagaba and I loved it so much. And so in honor of celebrating families and children, I just stuck with the name. I love it. So that's where Abagaba comes from a child.
That's great. I was thinking maybe it's some African language term or something that no, that's great. That's a great
I
thing.
actually looked up Abagaba, a name in Nigeria. I couldn't believe it. I was like, whoa.
Oh, like somebody like a person's name, like a personal name.
Yeah, I just typed in Abagaba one day and then a Nigerian name came up.
Let's see. So tell us like a little bit about like where you're from, the listeners. Yeah, and before you got to the United States, like tell us about where you're from and a little bit about your childhood and what you remember about it.
Okay, so thank you for asking that question. I was born and raised in Ghana, West Africa, and I was raised by my father and his family. I did not know who my mom was growing up, and that was the hardest part of my life growing up. Um, but I also had, good moments in my life where my dad's family, my dad's mother and my twin aunts, or my dad's brothers and sisters were there for me and helped me grow up. So one of the fondest memories that I love about my childhood was dancing with my twin aunts in my dad's living room to Michael Jackson's "Don't Stop Till You Get Enough." And
Jeez.
and me trying so hard to copy my aunt's dance moves. Um, it was the laughter, the music, the joy. It was pure happiness, and it still makes me smile today.
Do you dance with your children now to that music?
OMG, I do, and they love it so
Yeah.
much. My son sways gently from side to side, and my daughter, like, she's quite has some dancing moves.
Yes, um, well, we'll get more to that. We'll get more to that later. But um, going back to your childhood, like how often when did you first like realize that you were missing somebody in your life? Because I know she was gone from an early age, but when do you remember realizing that your mom wasn't around?
Oh, I knew at an early age. I knew as when I was a toddler, when I was 4 years old, because from the age of 2 to 4, I had to go live with my dad's sisters. Suddenly, I was moved away from the town I grew up in to another town and had to start a different school. And my dad wasn't living with us. He used to come visit me on the weekends. And so, and my aunt and my grandmother was caring for me. So I knew right away that something was missing. Did not have a mother. Well, I had mother figures, but I knew that my own
Sure.
mom was missing. And the real time was when I began kindergarten. And then I would see children get dropped off by both parents. And I knew that I was missing a mom. Only my dad would pick me up and drop me off. And I was very timid. Um, I was slow in speech. I was just, and some of my friends noticed, and then they began asking where my mom was, and I couldn't tell them the answer because I did not know where she was. So,
Yeah, I was curious. I was curious about that part of when you spoke to me and interviewed me. One of the questions I thought about was, I adopted my youngest son, and he was actually my wife had him with a donor, anonymous donor, and I always wondered when people would ask him where his dad was, because I adopted him when he was a teenager,
mhm,
what he would say, how he would respond to that, and I've got to. He doesn't like talking about it, but because he doesn't miss someone that was never there. But when you
right.
know your mom's alive and you have other kids asking, it's probably uncomfortable, right?
Yeah, and I would hear my mom, my grandma, my dad's mother was especially protective of me, and I would hear whispers like kind of feeling sad for me, but them giving me love. And so I knew something was missing because it was like the story of my parents were not completely out of the picture. Like there were still some conversations around the dinner table
Right,
of
right, right,
of 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 their reunion, of if she's gonna come back or if her family's gonna accept my dad. And so that I knew that there was something missing because I would hear whispers about it, but in a protective way
right, right.
about it.
And then I saw that. So you didn't actually find out how old you were until you're like 10 years old or something, and you didn't really celebrate your birthday. Like, tell us about that. That's strange.
Yeah, that's very strange. I know my dad told me that I had to be 5 years old to start kinder, so I knew that from that age on, if my friends were six, then that means I was six. And I
Uh,
kind of had a vague idea that I was born in May. I didn't know the exact date, and so I picked up any date in May, and then every year I'll pick one to celebrate. So today is May 1st, tomorrow will be like May 20th. I don't know. I'll pick a day in May and celebrate. But yeah, I discovered my own birthday by accident. One day, I came home from school. I climbed up my dad's mahogany bookshelf and found my birth certificate with my parents' names and mine. That's how I
really?
learned the date. And from then on, I made sure to celebrate it.
And what was the date?
Oh, May 14th.
May 14th.
Yes,
Wow.
May
Uh,
14th.
that is my wife's birthday.
N-
Yes, it's
May
funny.
14th? For
May
real?
14th. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
And
have
my,
to I have to meet
yeah,
your wife. I have to meet her.
yeah, that's right. No, that's great because my one of my sons was born on May 12th and the other one's born on May 13th, and she was born on May 14th. So it's like
Wow.
lots of May birthdays there. So
Yes.
yeah, that's no,
My
that's
wow, my whole life I only know like two May 14,
wow.
days that I now I know another one. So that's
That's right.
really cool.
What is that? What's the? I'm not a astrology person. What is that?
Oh,
What is
Taurus.
it? Taurus.
Taurus. Yeah.
Taurus.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that. I don't know what that means exactly, but that's what she is, and that's what you are. So, um,
So we like kind, creative, and friendly and all the good stuff.
that's
We
great. And
also
that's
we are also stubborn.
uh, that sounds about right. I'm a Pisces. I'm a Pisces.
Ah.
So as so when your father was raising you, I mean, what did you ever like ask him what happened to your mom and what would he say and how old were you when you if you did ask him when?
I would ask him at the age of 12 years old, like you begin to question certain things and stuff. And my dad always spoke good about my mom. He always told me the story of how they met, but he did not know where she was ever since. So my dad raised me because my when I was 2 years old, I was living with my grandmother and my mom, and then my grandmother did not approve of my parents' relationship because my dad was 28, my mom was a late teenager, like 19, when she got pregnant,
Right.
and he was working for my grandfather, and so obviously this whole pregnancy was a messy situation and my grandmother did not approve of that relationship, and so when I was two ordered my father to come pick me up and raise me instead. And so as a result of that, my mom was away. She had gone to on an errand and she came back and I was gone. And this reminds me of the book Are You My Mother by P.D. Eastman. It was like a mother bird flew to find food for her baby bird and she came back and the bird was gone. I feel like I'm that
Right.
bird in that story.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, so he
That's-
began raising me, and my mom never came back. She came when I was two, briefly, when I was four. So my dad raised me when I was two. My mom came back 2 years after for a brief moment, and that was it. I never saw her again. So,
Boy, I can't
uh,
imagine what that felt like for her being a teenager coming back and seeing, her baby gone, and obviously they weren't married, and she must have been pretty desperate.
she was devastated. She was devastated. Yeah,
It's you never had any contact from her like during your teenage years or
none. None.
nothing.
Nothing. I knew my mom's sisters and brothers. They were all so good and kind to me. I knew my mom's mother. I would go visit her sometime, but nobody knew where my mom was. So my mom was when as soon as she became pregnant out of wedlock, her life changed and she ran away from home. And so she never came to her family. So nobody knew where she was. And so it was hard for me because if they didn't know where she was, I had no chance of ever finding her. So she
Mhm.
just like disappeared.
Yeah, and no, that is hard, and I know since you've obviously have a relationship with her now, but um, did you ever ask her why she didn't try to contact you during those years?
I did. I did. And she said that it was so hard. She said she was very poor after my dad and her was separated. Well, when she became pregnant, she had to quit school. Um, she didn't have work. Her life completely changed. And she said that because she didn't come after me when she came that day when she came and I was gone, years went by and it was so hard to come. She didn't come. So the years kept adding on and it was even harder to come. So she never did. So she was honest about telling me that She said, I knew everything about you. I knew the high school you went to. I knew everything about you. I just couldn't come close because years had gone by so much that I didn't have anything to offer you. I didn't know how to come to your life because it had been so long. And she says, I was so poor. Your dad was better off than me. And so you had a chance with him to have a good life, and I did not. So I just wanted to come get you, but then it will do you a disservice because then you'll be in poverty like me and no education, nothing. So I just had to
Sure.
just let him raise you and pray that one day you will forgive me and find me. So yeah,
A lot of I'm sure she had a lot of shame.
she did. Honestly, we'll get to that, but when we were reunited, I understood her life conditions was, my gosh, there was no way she could have raised me. Even after
Mhm.
all these years when I saw her, I cried when I saw where she lived and what she called home. It was it was it was quite a
Of course.
sight. Yeah.
Sure. So was there ever a time where you like growing up felt angry like with your dad or with your grandmother for what happened?
Oh yes, especially when her family and my dad didn't know where she was. Many had never seen her, and some teased me that she had passed away or didn't love me, that I was a mistake. And some of my dad's love relationships didn't always treat me kindly. And
Oh, yeah, that's right. Did he ever get remarried? Did he ever get married?
he
Uh,
did. He did.
did
Yes, he
he have
did.
some stepmoms?
I did. I did. And there are some stories that I don't even dwell on because I feel like it opens up wounds, it gives them power, and my power is overcoming those and to be where I am. So I,
Right.
yeah,
That's a great point.
but
Giving them power, giving them power. It's something I learned myself after going through like a divorce or even going through traumatic childhood, where if you allow that voice in your head from that person that, was toxic, they control you. And so, and you give them power and you don't want to do that. So
yeah,
that's great that
yes, yes. And definitely growing up without my mother was hard. Celebrating birthdays were the hardest. And then Mother's Day, because my birthdays always fell around Mother's Day all
right. That's
around.
right.
And so I'm like, who is the woman that I came from? And why am I? Anyway, it was so hard. And
Was there anybody that you called, mom? Any with
Um,
any of
I
the
could
relatives?
I could not say the word mama until I was like in my teenage years. I could not. I only said dad, dad, always daddy, dad, dad. I never knew how to say mom. In fact, one summer I went to live with my dad's sister, and all her children called her ma. And so then I had to learn. She'd call me Abigail, and I'll be like, yes, dad. Oh, yes, mom.
Uh,
Yes, ma. Like I did not know how to say it. It took me a while
wow.
to just say ma, mama, or mom. Yeah. Mhm.
So like at what point did you decide uh, that you wanted to kind of start seeking her out, learning more about her?
So journaling helped me a lot. The feelings were so much, emotions were so much. And so I love journaling. And then one day I wrote about my mom and the story of how my parents met. And I knew that if she if she had me for 9 months, then surely she loved me. And so journaling really gave me a soft heart for her. And
Right.
then I was in my 30s and I wanted to just find love and relationship myself. And my heart changed.
Your heart changed, you said?
My heart changed. In fact, when I was in London, this was like in my mid 20s. Somehow my mom knew where I lived and where I was, and then she sent word to for me to reach out to her. And I was like, I'm the child. She's the mother.
Yes.
After all these years, why am I the one to reach out to her? Like reach out and say, where do we start our relationship? Like I was so frustrated. And then my aunt was like, you're not ready. Give your feelings some time. Even though I wanted to find her, hearing
Yes.
that she wanted me to call her, like, how do you call someone you've never known for like 20 something years? Like,
Mm.
where do you begin? So I wasn't ready then. But when I was ready was, I think, late in my 30s. I wanted to have a family myself, and my the fact that she gave me life, that I could be Abigail living on this earth, having my own experiences, I just felt like I wanted to know her story before it was too late. I was afraid she might pass away if I don't.
Right. Right.
So it just gnawed at me.
Did it you mentioned having like relationships. Do you think that not having a mom affected your ability to have relationships with men or other, other people, or how when you got in a relationship, was it harder for you to find love, you think, because it's maybe some abandonment issues, or because I faced some of that stuff myself, so just
Yeah,
curious.
I didn't have any self-worth. I did. I really did. Like, if anything went wrong in my life, I would blame it on the fact that I didn't know my mom. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know who I was trying to be. I did not know. And I was really trying so hard not to repeat my mom's life. I
Yes.
wanted to do things the right way. Like, I wanted to find love, be sure about it, get married, have children. I wanted to do things. I wanted to have a different path, a generational path than what my parents went through. And so I was so I had standards that were only made sense to me. And it was hard because, yeah, um, it was,
You said it's hard. It was hard because the standards that you set for like in another person were like unrealistic, maybe.
it was, it was, maybe it was unrealistic to them, but for me, I had the life I lived and the struggles I've had. And I just didn't want to repeat. I wanted to stay true to me. And staying true to me was like, not making sure that I didn't go down that generational path.
Yeah.
I don't know if
No.
I answered that question.
No, I think I understand. I think I understand. You don't want to repeat, the what happened with your mom and your
Yes,
father. You want to make sure that when you meet somebody and you have a child, it's for all the right reasons
that
and
for the right
not
reasons, that I was, because he loved me and because I loved him, regardless of
right.
my insecurities or my fears about um uh my fears about life. And
Or
yeah.
yeah. So so how did you like describe for us the moment? And I know that you wound up getting her phone number um through like one of your cousins, I guess. And what was it like when you knew you were going to call her, but in those days or hours leading up to you actually picking up the phone and dialing it? Just try to describe like what did it feel like inside for you?
Yeah, so seriously, if I heard my mom's name or any story about her, I didn't have a good vibe about it. I was just so bitter and angry about it. Was back and forth. Like, I wanted to know her, but I was also had this struggle where fear crippled me, the unknown, her maybe not knowing me, and I wanted to have her number, but I was also afraid to reach out. Maybe she'll reject me. Um, so I was so torn. I had to fight this battle constantly, like with myself, like to one way I feel peace, one way I feel the struggle of like she doesn't know me, she's a parent, she never came after me. I have to be the one to find her. It was a struggle. But anyway, my cousin Emmanuel gave me my mom's phone number, and I was so happy to receive it. But then once I had it, I was so afraid. It sat in my inbox for like a month, and
Uh-huh.
I struggled with calling her because I didn't think she knew me. And so, but on August 22nd, I got over my fears and I gave her the call. And I had a pen and paper to doodle. Like, if it went one way, then I didn't care. If it went well, then no, I prepared myself for either going well or not. I don't know. I had some test questions for her, and I said to her, "What's my name?" And she said, "Oh, your name is Abigail." And she gave me the meaning. Abigail means Father's Joy. I'm like, whoa, she's smart. And I said, "When is my birthday?" She said, "Oh, I was in labor with you on May 13th, but you came out on May 14th at 9 a.m. in Footland Breach." And I was like, "What? I was a Footland Breach
Uh,
baby? I never knew that about myself." And so here I was, had test questions, but she knew more about me than I knew about myself. And so, and also down the line, she heard that I was not married or had children. And she was like, don't give up. It's going to happen. You're going to have twins, a boy and a girl. And coming from my mother was so powerful that I was
She
like,
said that. She said
she
you're gonna
did.
have twins.
She said, you're my baby girl, your mother. I had my last baby at 43. So you are gonna be fine. You're gonna have twins, a boy and a girl. And I'm like, oh, I had people encourage me, but when my mother hearing her voice for the first time after all these years, and for her to say that was really something, was something. I
That
cannot
was
believe
all in
it.
all in that first conversation.
On August 22nd. Yep. It was all in that first day, that first conversation. Yeah. We bonded quickly and she has a sense of humor. She made me laugh. That set me at ease and broke down my walls. And I was actually in love with her voice. I couldn't believe it was so, I didn't expect that she would give me love and compassion. She received me so kindly and that I, it was a nice surprise.
That's and where was she living? Was she in Ghana
She was
still?
in Ghana. Yes,
And you were here in the U.S., so
I
that's a
was
little bit
in
of
the
a
US in Philadelphia, PA. Yeah.
yeah. That's wow. I can imagine because from from my own story, I remember when I knocked on my biological father's door, how long I stood outside before I had the courage to actually make that, even though it's like a five, it's only gonna be that first like 30 seconds or something, that first awkward thing for both of you.
Yes,
It's still you just have no idea how someone's gonna react.
you have
Uh,
no idea. Yes. Yeah.
and I always wondered in my situation, and it's probably, I wonder if you asked your mother this, why she didn't, you were the child, she's the mother, why she didn't pick the phone up earlier and call you, because she clearly knew where you were.
Oh yeah. She knew the school I went to. She knew she had tabs on me. She had good sources and she had tabs on me. And
Yeah,
she kept saying that because so many years had gone by, she felt ashamed and she was just really poor. She used to sleep at like in transportation stations was her place of abode, and she really could not give me a good life. And
yeah,
part of me felt like, well, I would understand if you
yeah,
at least got in touch with me, but but
yeah,
I honor what she said and I left it alone and I just um and really
yeah,
really truly when I met her for the first time where she lived was she lived in a kiosk, which is like in Ghana they call it kiosk, where it's like a wooden little structure with no plumbing, with no, they had like a community bath house or whatever. And she
mm,
I was like, wow, after all these years. I actually had a GoFundMe and I was sewing clothing and raising money to help her because her
wow,
situation was really, really bad. She was afraid to send me a picture of her because she didn't really look good. She was afraid of how she looked, and I really didn't care when I saw her. I really was
sure.
happy to see her picture. I didn't really care how poor or how, um,
But it still shocked you when you saw where she lived.
oh, yes, it did. Seriously, for our reunion, I had talked to her because I talked to her for 3 years before I flew to Ghana to meet her for the first, to meet her as an adult. And I had arranged with her to go meet her privately, but my dad and her had also rekindled. And my dad asked her to come to the airport. And I was like, Dad, why would you do that? I was not very happy. I was like, I'm nervous. I can't meet her. I have to see her in
Y-
private. But
Right.
she came to the airport, and I'm so grateful she did because if I had gone to her place, I would even I would
Oh,
it would not have.
that would have been shocking.
It was, yeah. So the airport was good. My dad was there, and seeing her was amazing. I cannot even describe how she was. I had gone home to Ghana after 15 years of being abroad and seeing my dad. I was so happy. I forgot my mom was there and my nervousness went away. But when I was hugging family members and I got to this woman who was like shy and like in the background, nobody told me
Right.
that was my mother. I just knew that that was my mom. And so I was like, "You're my mother." And I began
Oh my
crying
gosh.
and hugging her. And
Oh wow.
she's a beautiful woman. Just life had hit her hard.
Yeah.
But it was a really good reunion day, and I just couldn't stop looking at her. When I hear her voice, I was connecting the voice I heard over the phone to her person. I couldn't believe that she was with me, and uh,
Yeah. He must have been like from her standpoint, you know, because of where she's, obviously kind of destitute or homeless, and then she has this beautiful, wonderful daughter who's obviously having, a good deal of success, educated,
mm-hmm,
living in a nice, high quality of life, and
mm-hmm.
um, that I wondered that must have really made her feel good and envious, maybe, but it must have made her.
Thank you for listening. I hope something here touched you. Stay tuned for part two of my mom's incredible voice. Thank you for sharing this space with us on Heart to Heart with Abba Gaba. I hope this conversation inspired you to keep moving forward in hope and light. If this episode spoke to you, please share it with someone you love. Leave us a review and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a moment of inspiration, connection, and joy. May your home be filled with peace, your heart with joy, and your spirit with the quiet strength of love. Until next time, take care of your heart, take care of each other, and keep celebrating the love that makes us family.